The King and the Poor Servant. In a great kingdom, there was a poor servant known for his interesting stories. Every night, he entertained the king, who loved listening to him. After each story, the king gave him a gold coin as a reward. But unfortunately, the palace guard, a big and clever man, always tricked him and stole his reward. One night, after finishing his story, the servant received his gold coin and walked toward the palace gate. His heart was beating fast as he prayed that the guard would not notice him. Luckily, the guard was asleep, snoring loudly. The servant quickly ran out of the palace, hardly believing that, for the first time in years, he had kept his reward. That night he was very happy, holding the gold coin like a great treasure. The next day, when he returned to the palace to tell another story, a strange question came to his mind. After finishing his tale, he hesitated but then stepped forward and asked, "My king, may I ask you a question?" The king looked at him with interest and said, "Of course, go ahead." The servant took a deep breath and asked, "How did you become the king? Was it because you inherited the throne, or was it luck?" The king was surprised by the question but smiled and replied, "It was luck. I was just a simple young man. One day, I heard about a well outside the city, called the Well of Luck. I went there and called out to my luck. It appeared and said, 'I have chosen you to be the king.' Since that day, I have never known poverty or sadness." The servant's eyes widened in amazement. "Can anyone see their luck?" he asked. The king nodded. "Yes. You just need to go to the well, call your luck, and it will appear to tell you your fate." For the first time in his life, the servant felt hope. He decided to visit the well the next day to discover his fate. But as usual, when he left the palace, the guard stopped him and stole his gold coin again. He went home feeling sad and said, "Bad luck again. Tomorrow I will go to the Well of Luck. Maybe it will help me." At sunrise, the servant got ready to go to the well. But suddenly, loud knocking came from his door. He opened it and found the king's soldiers. "The king wants to see you immediately," one of them said. The servant felt nervous, but he followed the soldiers to the palace. When he entered, he saw the king sitting on his throne, looking deep in thought. The king spoke seriously. "Servant, I could not sleep last night. Your question about luck made me think. Does luck really decide everything?" The servant hesitated, then said, "My king, if I meet my luck, I will ask for only one thing." "And what is that?" the king asked with interest. "I will ask my luck to protect me from injustice and allow me to live with dignity without losing my reward." The king was silent for a moment, then asked, "Who is treating you unfairly?" The servant looked down and said nothing. But the king insisted, "Do not be afraid. Tell me. I am here to do justice." Finally, the servant told the king the truth about the palace guard who stole his gold coin every night. The king became very angry and shouted, "Bring the palace guard immediately." When the guard arrived, the king asked him angrily, "Is it true that you steal this man's reward every night?" The guard pretended to be shocked. "Me? No, my king. This is a lie. I would never do such a thing." But the servant replied firmly, "My king, you can ask any of the palace workers. They all know what this man does to me." The king ordered one of the workers to come, and he confirmed the servant's story. The guard, realizing there was no way out, finally admitted his crime. The king looked at him with anger and said, You have betrayed your duty and used your position to harm others. Your punishment is dismissal and prison." The soldiers took the guard away as he begged for mercy, but the king did not change his decision. Then the king turned to the servant and smiled. "The injustice you suffered was not because of bad luck but because of people's actions. Still, I will make it right. From now on, you will not only be a storyteller, but you will also be an advisor in the palace, teaching wisdom through your stories." Tears filled the servant's eyes. He bowed before the king and said, "My king, true luck is finding someone who gives you justice and fairness." From that day on, the servant lived a respected life in the palace. His stories were not just for entertainment but also for teaching justice and wisdom. As for the king, he learned that luck is not everything. True rulers are made by justice.